Hi, I'm Shanti Mai, and the story I'm about to tell ties back in theme concept back to the cultural blindness video that I did and the button story dealing with truth telling and truth discerning and how to deal with it. And also about checking your stories at the door and looking at your assumptions kind of thing. Okay, here we go. In this story, I was young. I was just out of college. I was living in Europe. At this point in my 20s, I was living in Dublin, Ireland. And by the way, I felt so at home in Ireland. It was crazy, more so than any other place I had felt in my whole life. So here's the story. My friends and I would always look for where the musical happening of the night was. There were three pubs that we would generally check uh, first. And often we'd go together. This time I was alone, couldn't meet with them. So I was intersecting with them or trying to. Was in the doorway of one of those three aforementioned pubs, standing on my toes. And at the time I was 2 inches taller than I am now. We won't go into that. That's an unhappy thing. Shh, shh. No, no. I was standing on my toes, looking to see over the men that were standing in the doorway. Were my friends there? And I was taller than they were. Um, at which point a really wonderful, miraculous thing happened. They, one of them spontaneously said, forgive my Dublin accent, I don't know. He said, look out, lads, it's the Crease Patrol. And everybody started grabbing their combs. Get your combs, lads, get your combs. And I knew they were talking about parts. I knew that's what they meant by crease. And I started, of course, being the Crease Patrol. Who better to take over that role? And I said to one man, oh, very, very good. Very good. Will you help your man over here? He needs some help. Give him some assistance with his comb there. And we had a wonderful, wonderful time. And eventually I broke myself away, even though it was fantastic, and went to go look for my friends who otherwise would be worried for me. This was way, way, way before cell phones, y'all. Come on. And it occurred to me at that moment that if this scenario had taken place in the United States, that the men in any doorway, in any average pub, in just about any section of the country, would have handled it profoundly differently than these Irishmen did. So here's what I think an average American group of men in a doorway with a woman taller than them getting on her tiptoes and getting even taller. I think they would have been very likely to, hey, don't look now, but there's a freaking Amazon trying to be even taller. And I would have felt that the joke was on me and that I was not included. And I would have left and had an unpleasant lack of connection. And the American men would have been following the cultural norm, which is it's not polite. It's not polite to make someone feel uncomfortable by pointing out something that's different about them. Whereas I would say, I think if I had been in the doorway and a bunch of American men had ignored me and yet had nonverbal communication, I would have been completely savvy to the fact that they were doing something at my expense. Um, and that would have been, to me, very, very rude. um, so just because it seems like the norm, everybody does it that way, doesn't mean it's the best. And ironically, my sense of humor is very, very much like these Irish guys. I've always thought of myself a lot like the little boy in the story of the Emperor's New Clothes, where everybody's going, "Oh, what fine silks!" Blah 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 blah, and the little boy goes, "But mommy," in my version. These are his quotes in my version. "But mommy, I can see his butt crack." I'm a lot like that boy. I like to speak the truth when possible, when not ill-advised. Um, and to me, what the Irishmen were saying. I mean, like, I knew I was taller than they were. Hello, I knew. And I found it delightful. So, truth telling and culture following, please don't assume your cultural approach to humor, for example, uh, is the right one, or to avoid humor because it might be painful to someone else. Maybe, maybe not. Moment by moment by moment. And do you remember what I said in a previous video about curiosity? If you're curious about yourself, you're watching. How am I with this? How am I with that? I learned a long, long time ago when I was very young that I love teasing strangers. So, because it breaks people out of their automated mode, their kind of box that they may be walking around in. Uh, Humor will knock you right out of your box. It'll knock your socks out of your box. I'm going to leave you that. Till next time, I'm Shanti Mai. Love you. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. And I'd love it if you'd subscribe. I'd love to see you again. And I'm going to be looking out over to the side to disconnect, but don't forget to hit the like button. Bye. There we go. And beta for all.